NR6H, KN6QNJ. Well, to me it looks like the forerunner to the cell phone. No, that's impressive what you have there. Wow. I'll let Joel AI6DG comment on it.
Okay. Feeling around on the floor for the foot pedal. I think this is the only time I use the foot pedal now. I've got other things running on the computer to activate transmit. So it's not always right at foot. I sometimes have to search down there for it. I think I know what this is. So we've got on a little, almost like a TV tray table, small table sitting on the ground, an array of equipment. We got fancy against the ground on the upper right. We've got NR6H in its angled isometric view, and on the lower left it says 20921. Is that today? N6NA SSTV Net. And we've got on the table a case that's opened, and kind of like what's that? A ruggedized case. I forget what the name of the company is. I doubt it's one of those, because those are really expensive. We've got a laptop, a couple of boxes on the left with a white display, on the right with a color waterfall display. So that's the one on the right is the Zygu 6100. The one on the left, I'm assuming, is the amplifier, and then the laptop to run FT8. On the inside of the lid, we've got an ARL band plan with some other tables of information there. Can't quite read it to see what. A hand mic sitting on the table in front of the Zygu on the lower right of the table. Behind the Zygu, I'm assuming it's a 2-meter 440 rig of some kind. And I'm talking with Anders. I've heard that he's totally gotten rid of the 991 and that Go box that was in, and I believe this is his new Go box. Looks a lot smaller and more luggable, although it is still luggable. At least it's got a handle, and you can carry it in one hand. Where's the battery? Is there a battery there somewhere? Back to net, AI6DG.
Thanks, Joel. Yeah, I don't have much more to add. This looks like Anders' new Go kit, and I know that you sold the 991. I was curious, did you sell that box too that you had for it? Because you had that really nice setup with those speakers and all that in there too, which made it bigger. This clearly looks more efficient. I'll pass it on to Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, this is KP4MD. I got the picture here. I see the laptop computer, and it looks like an amplifier on the left, and maybe some kind of a matching HF radio with a pan adapter and a waterfall display on the right. The curious radios. They don't look like the typical Kenwood or ICOM. And it looks like it's in a Pelican case. And so NR6H there in the upper right-hand corner. Very good. Back to net. This is KP4MD.
Thanks, Carol. NR6H, tell us what happened to the old one, and tell us about this new one.
Yeah, the old Go box is in pieces, so the main feature of it, obviously the radio itself, was sold, so I don't have that, so the box turned out to be kind of redundant, and I still have it though. I didn't throw it out, but I cleaned it out from all the little fasteners and everything I had in there to hold everything in, so it may find a different purpose going forward here. Probably use it. It's a 19-inch rack box, so it will fit my PA stuff really well, so I amplifier in there and some processing stages and stuff. That's probably the use for that going forward. This is the new Go box, so it's a semi-watertight case, hard plastic, really rugged, and everything is in there. So there is the amplifier. Joel had everything right, so it's the amplifier to the left that has a built-in tuner, so I don't need a separate tuner anymore. There is the Zygo X6100 is the radio on the right with the waterfall display, and then up on top there is a little essentially a tri-band, so it's a 2-meter 220 and the 440 transceiver. It's a 20-ish watts out, so it's a little mobile, one of those $100 rigs that you can get on Amazon, so nothing fancy there. And behind that is a little connection thingy with USB connectors and a GPS puck, so the GPS is connected into the USB there, so all I need to bring this online is to flip up to kind of tilt up the innards of it so that you can see the displays, and then plug in the USB in the little laptop there. So that's charging the laptop as well as communicating with the radio and the GPS puck. So I get the correct time right away when I flip this up from the satellite. That's a good thing. And then there is a battery underneath, so you can actually see that on the bottom right corner of the keyboard there. There is a little display that shows the voltage and the current and the power of the battery. And there's a 20 amp hour lithium also sitting underneath here, so I have power for the whole day of fun. So that's the new Go Power. No, and up in the top of the lid there are actually 2 speakers. So that boots up because the speaker in the Zygo is really tiny and really teeny, so not much to use. So the speakers are up there. So that's pretty much it. So this still hasn't seen much action. I'll bring it out here on Saturday for the first time to the general class go on the air that we're having with the Sierra Foothills general class. So that's going to be fun. And then hopefully this is going to be lugged around the Northern California here going forward in this fall. So that's what this is. And R6H, leave it back to you, James. Thanks.
Thanks, Anders. I wish I could join you guys on Saturday for that general class that Sierra Foothills is teaching, that Orion is teaching. You and I are helping. We always miss it when you don't make it to class, though, but we know you had a club meeting. I can't wait to see this. I won't see it Saturday. Any questions before we move on to Joel? All right, AI6DG, KN6QNJ, are you ready to send a picture?
This is a repeat, although it's been a while since I sent this picture. This is, PD120, and for source, let's test for tone.
That was a nice sounding tone, Joel.
PD120.
I copy, very good copy, Joel. Well, I'm trying to figure out what that's connected to. I'll let Carol comment on this.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. I believe I've seen this before. It looks like Joel's homebrew interface for transmitting and receiving slow scan TV. And I can't explain every single part of this, but it's an interesting Rube Goldberg setup. But when it works pretty well. That's all I can say. Back to Net. This is KP4MD.
You could put those together and sell them at HRO, Joel. I have no way of describing that, but Anders does, I bet, NR6A.
So the thing I really recognize in this picture, that was received very well. I have a few spots over it, evenly distributed, but a very clear picture overall. The silvery thing on the left, that's a Behringer 200, 201 or 202, something like that, is the audio interface, and it's basically a USB sound card, and it's an awesome sound card, by the way. It's got really good performance, and it has, unlike many of those cheap sound cards, this has line level inputs. And usually the cheap sound cards have a microphone level input, but this is a line level input. So I have a bunch of those, actually. They are, I've had them all over for various purposes. So there is a red and a white RCA plug there going to a little green board with two audio transformers on it. So that must be the isolation for the, not sure where that wire goes. I guess that wire has to go to the other, the wire that comes out on the top left of that board must go to the radio, I assume. So that's going to be audio in and out to the radio. And then there is a gray wire that goes kind of from the middle left of the board to a little USB widget. My guess is that that's the PTT thing that would trigger, trigger the push to talk one way or another. Not sure exactly how that pulls together. Up on the top there, we see the edge of a PC motherboard of some form, and some kind of black foot on the top left of the picture that is unidentifiable what that is. But yeah, that's what I see. I guess I agree with Carol there that this must be the audio interface that we just got the picture fed through. So, but at that point, I guess the USB plugs were both plugged into something. So that is, I think, what I see. This is NR6H, back to Net.
Thanks, Anders. NR6H, KN6QNJ, AI6DG. I bet Carol and Anders are both correct.
Roger to that. And that's not just for slow scan. I mean, this is my entire audio interface to access the radio. So I'm talking through this right now. So once you have audio that you can get in and out of the radio and in and out of the computer, that lets you do all kinds of things. That lets you do all the digital modes. That lets you do fancy sound stuff between radio and the computer and Zoom, and so this is used extensively. And between this and all the other devices I have hooked to the computer and mixer software called Voice Meter Banana. I can do slow scan. I can do a Vox through the computer with a little program. I can do Net. I can do club presentations. This is used to do the gateway on the K6IS of North Hills Radio Club. This is the gateway between their, when they were doing their club meetings, and also gatewaying into Zoom and into the repeater. Um, but in the very center, the USB stick. That's the PTT. It goes to a relay. That's that black rectangular box on the green circuit board to the right. And those are two isolation transformers. The black cable coming out the back of that kind of coils up and goes to the red and white plugs onto the gray box, which is exactly what Andrew said. I don't remember the exact model number, but it's a Behringer. And that's USB, and there's the USB plug front and center of the lower right. And the little black connector that's above and to the left of the USB is the DB11 pin connector that plugs into the back of my FTM 300. And that black cable coils around and has some wires soldered onto the green circuit board on the right. The white thing is some extra unused pins, the wires that are coming out of the cable that I just have taped together so they don't short anything out. Back to net, the I6TG.
Thanks, Joel. Wow, that is impressive. So it's a lot more than just like a signal link modem or sound card. It's very capable, very impressive. Do you know of any others who are using a system like this?
Actually, I'd say the signal link's a little more sophisticated. It's very much the same thing. The signal link, though, through the use of the plugs, lets you use it with more than a whole bunch of radios, and also has level pots so you can adjust the levels. This doesn't have any level adjustment. But what is the same on the signal link is that once you have that set up and working, everything I said about all this, being able to do all these other things applies. All you need to be able to do is have the ability to get audio in and out between the computer and the radio, and then have the computer somehow do the push-to-talk to activate the transmission on the radio, and then you've got all kinds of avenues open. Back to you, AI6TG.
Joel, that's pretty cool. KP4MD, Carol, are you ready to share a photo?
Yeah, but I do have one question for AI6TG. This is the setup that you were getting all of your pictures were having like a herringbone or a moire pattern. Do you still have that problem?
Yeah, and I think I do. And maybe it's not as bad as it used to be. I think I've got a loose or bad or intermittent ground wire somewhere in here, because every once in a while I have a really bad 60-cycle hum pop up, and I just wiggle some wires around and it disappears. So I think there might be a bad shield in either the red or the black, or white. Actually, one of them, because it's, let's see here, output. I think it'd be the red one. Output going into the computer, so that would be what I would hear, and I hear a 60-cycle hum sometimes. So I don't know if that's related or not. It could just be, yeah, I don't know. Could be lots of things. It's not terribly noticeable, but it's definitely there and has never gone away, and I've just not spent the time to track it down, since it's only a problem on slow scan. It's not usually a problem or even detectable when you're doing just straight audio. Back to net AI6TG.
Okay, yeah, very good. Well, that's just, I know Wilson, N6EMF, also did a homebrew thing. It wasn't, of course, exactly the same as what Joel has here, but he was able to get that working quite well when he was first getting on with just his handheld radio using a homebrew interface. And one of the cautions with these kinds of setups is all of those wires, any of length of those wires could act as an antenna and pick up RF, and that somehow will get into the system, and be a potential source of unexpected results. But very good. I'm going to go ahead and send a picture now. This is going to be PD120.
spectrum, something under NRC.
Well, we're looking at the screen up for sure from a Windows computer, Windows 10 or 11, something like that, probably 10. And it is a waterfall. I kind of inclined to think that this is one of the online SDR sites. Sadly, even though the picture is fine with colors, the resolution does not let anything. None of the text is readable. Not of the soft gray up in the header is blurry. The little control panel down on the right side also too blurry to see what anything says there, and I can't even make out what the frequency are or what band we're on here. So yeah, it's some form of SDR, online or not. Actually, it looks like it's probably in a browser because there is the URL header up there. So it's yeah, I'd say this is an online SDR, one of them, and but that's pretty much all I can tell. So we'll see what it is. NR6H back to net.
NR6H N6QNJ. Before I go on, Carol, on YouTube, I'm seeing that the chat looks frozen from last week. Do you know if anybody's online listening?
Yeah, let me take a look. Let's see. Doing the live. Just a moment. We have. Nope, I don't. I think we only have one viewer that's following us right now, and I don't see anybody who has signed in this week. Over.
copy. I suppose the viewer could be me. I didn't sign in here. All right, just checking. Joel, comments on Carol's photo.
Excellent description from Anders. I'll add a few things. It looks like we're looking at strictly the fall portion of the waterfall. So there's no spectrum, instantaneous spectrum side of it. We've got a top half and a bottom half, and I think the part of the target here, what we're looking at is that something got turned on and created a whole bunch of RFI. So you've got, from the color change, a noise floor that rose significantly and a whole bunch of spurs all the way across the band. There is one up-down bar kind of to the left, and from the repetitiveness of it, I would guess it's one of the digital modes, probably FT8. On the extreme upper portion of the waterfall, I see some labels with kind of like little straight down tags coming down. So I interpret those as probably being spots. So whatever the software is, it's connected to a spot server, and those tags are where someone spotted someone at a frequency. And yeah, everything else, I agree with Andrew. Back to net, AI6TG.
Thanks, Joel, AI6TG. Carol, I'm wondering if this is a picture of your air conditioner running what you were describing on the 10-meter net. Go ahead, Carol. I'll toss it to you, KB4MD.
Yeah, okay. This is KP4MD. You hit the nail right on the head. This is actually a screen capture from my Kiwi SDR, which is a software-defined radio that I have running 24/7, and it's this. I know it's a big screen. It's 1920 by 1080 pixel. So when you shrink it down into MMS STV, it's going to be difficult to read. But if you look in the upper left-hand corner, you could just see a little cartoon character, and that's a little Kiwi with a headset on, and that's the logo for Kiwi SDR. This receiver receives everything from almost 0 up to 32 megahertz. It's capturing the full HF spectrum and medium wave and some long wave as well. But I have it, this is zoomed in to the 15-meter band. 21 megahertz is on the left, and on the right side it's 21.45. And you're right, Joel, you found that that one bar that's continuously going vertically there on the left side, that's the FT8 frequency. That's 21.074. And the bottom half of the waterfall is giving you the baseline noise level, and right in the center of that waterfall is when I turned on my air conditioner, and it raised the noise level from the noise floor from an S4 up to an S6 uniformly across that entire band. And there are these spikes of RFI every 18 kilohertz, which is the frequency that is used. It's a pulse width modulated DC that's sent to the compressor motor, and it runs at 18 kilohertz, and you've got these harmonics, and it only happens when the compressor motor is running on this brand new air conditioner. And it seems to be quite a common problem with some of the newer energy efficient air conditioners that use this system to control the variable speed of the motors in order to conserve energy. So I'm in the process of working on this right now together with the installer, since this is a brand new unit and it's in warranty. I don't want to do anything that's going to void the warranty. but just taking some measurements, and I sent this in actually to the installer. This is a video, and I'm doing some RF sniffing with my little tiny SA, looking around where I can pick the signal up. I pick it up off the wires going to the thermostat. I pick it up right at the furnace where the blower motor is, and I pick it up also at the outdoor AC compressor, the air conditioner compressor. And thinking that I might be able to get some improvement on this with some ferrites. Be a simple thing to do, but I did just want to share this to show you how this signal, by the way, it extends from 17 megahertz all the way up to 36 megahertz. So it affects my reception on 10 meters, 12, 15, and 17 meters. It's pretty nasty. So back to net control. This is KP for MD.
Wow, Carol. I mean, I've heard you talk about it. I heard you talk about it tonight on the 10-meter net. But this picture really gives everybody a sense of what the problem is. Does the installer or the manufacturer have a fix for this, or are they going to make you install ferrites, or do you know where it's going to go?
Well, I did call the installer. I called the main office number, and they didn't know what I was talking about, and they said to contact the manufacturer. So I called the manufacturer's service number, and they said to speak with a licensed contractor, which is the installer. So then I just happened to have the cell number of the person who actually came out here to do the original evaluation of the house, and spoke with him, and he said he heard about something like this with ham radio operators before, but it was beyond his expertise, so he's investigating it, and we're hoping to work together and to get this remedied over.
I wonder if it's possible that the design of the unit that they installed violates Part 95 somehow, or some other part somewhere in the wall.
Yeah, this equipment is supposed to comply with Part 15 and not exceed certain spurious emissions. However, there could be variations in the technique of installation that can cause some interfering emissions to be radiated from the wiring. So there are some, as you say, there are some manufacturers that try to cut on expense of manufacturing these motors, and they skimp on putting any kind of RFI into filtering, but they may offer a filter when it's necessary to install on the motor. Over.
I'm sorry you're having to deal with that. Wow. But it sounds like it'll eventually get figured out, but very frustrating. N6H or AI6DG, any comments?
R6H?
6DG. NR6H, go ahead, and then
Yeah, so like Carol said, this is covered by Part 15. Everything that oscillates basically needs to pass Part 15 testing. The interesting thing with a system like that consists of multiple pieces that are really installed separate from each other, is that when they're tested under Part 15, they should technically be tested as a system, but since the systems can look different and will look different in different houses and different installations, what the manufacturers do is that they test each piece by itself and don't run too much wire out of it, even declare that there shouldn't be any wires coming out of each little piece. So I bet you if you disconnect all the wires, it's going to be just fine, but your system isn't going to work. And I'd also like to, maybe be a little blunt about that some manufacturers try to take shortcuts here. I would say all manufacturers would try to take shortcuts on this. Passing part 15 can be actually pretty difficult because the levels are low, and it's easy to exceed them if you don't do a proper design. So this is going to be interesting to hear how this gets resolved. I hope that fixing it from the outside is going to work. My experience is that really you need to attack the source of the issue and to really get to the bottom of this. But I keep my fingers crossed. NR6H back to net.
Thanks, Andre. AI6G.
Is this an FCC approved device? And if so, how in the world did it pass? I guess Andrew's kind of touched on that, though. And have you contacted FCC and/or ARRL for assistance, or is that even worth doing? Back to net AI6TG.
Okay, no, I haven't contacted FCC yet. ARRL actually has some links on their website there is a really interesting presentation by a ham that goes into details about how these situations do occur, and they're not uncommon at all. Actually, I'll go ahead and I put a link on our Discord chat about this, but I'll go ahead and send the link out on the email to the slow scan stations here. So if you want to take a look at that video, it's a nice talk that goes into detail, and it may have some bearing on some of the people that get on our HF net that complain of high noise, and they haven't realized that perhaps turning off the AC would make that noise go away. So that's it. And yep, they're supposed to have each individual component of the system in compliance with Part 15. But just like Anders said, once you put wires on it and connect it all together, those wires can act as radiators and cause all kinds of problems. Back to net. This is Kilo Papa for Mike Delta.
Go ahead, Joe.
Have you identified whether it's radiating or power line? In other words, how is it getting in? Power through power or actual through the air radiation? AI6TG back to that.
Well, I take if I put a short circuit across the antenna, the interference disappears completely. It's coming in through the antenna. And I have used my little tiny SA with the little whip antenna, and I've walked up to the thermostat in the wall inside the house, and I can see the RFI coming out there. It's radiating right from the thermostat, and so the wire from the unit in the back of the house coming up to the thermostat is carrying this, and I'm sure it's radiating it over.
Any other comments? Joel, any follow-up?
Not really. I think you just needed to ferrite the beep out of it. But I can understand you wanting to go through and get okay from the path. You don't want to touch it until you've got an okay to do things. I can see that. But it sounds like you just need to put a ferrite on every input and output of every component part of it. Back to the N6NA.
Good luck with that. Let us know if there's anything any of us can do to help. But need to do a tone test before I send my picture. So, Joel, will you let me know if you hear something?
Good tone. You're ready to go. The I-60.
Okay, thanks. I actually took an old MacBook Pro and installed Windows on it today and downloaded N6NA SSTV, and following Anders' earlier advice, figured out how to get it to work. So that was the first output test. So that's working. Windows simulation. Okay, here we go. Still experimenting with black and white newspaper. I know, Carol, you taught us about the black and white option, but since there were words here, I thought I should go to PD 120 on this. This is meant for levity and fun. I don't know if there's not too much to comment on, but Anders, NR6H, go ahead.
Yeah, picture from looks like an actual physical paper. I guess, yeah, we actually have was the journal still. It's coming to the garage driveway every morning, and the problem we have is that they deliver it too late, so we don't get it till everybody left the house, and then it's kind of outdated in the evening, so we kind of stopped reading it, sadly. But anyway, three grumpy old men, I guess. Is it Statler and Waldorf, or some third guy, but not really? Remind me who had the last laugh. Yeah. All three looks really grumpy. So, yeah, fun picture. And, yeah, you could probably send this in black and white and it would still probably come through really well. But, yeah, good reception. Not too many sparkles at all. Nothing that is disturbing for sure. So, and our signature back to that.
Thanks. Joel, AI6DG.
Pepper and Salt, the Wall Street Journal, the header. Three guys sitting on what looks like a porch, middle-aged guy on the left and two old farts on the right. And the caption on the bottom, remind me who had the last laugh. And I don't get it. But my first thought is the two hecklers on the Muppet Show, the two guys on the right. But they must not be enjoying the show if they're sitting in the one of the boxes in the theater watching the Muppet Show, especially if they haven't had any laughs recently. So there's definitely not a recent laugh, but and I'm not getting the moire, so I don't know if my current setup that's changed recently is the cause, or if it's just the random wriggling of the wires and everything's just right at the moment. There's a very slight one in the background. I don't know. Maybe it's there and I'm just not seeing it. Back to Net AS6TV.
Thanks, Joel. I did set this up. I could do a black and white 12, but let me have Carol comment first, and if you guys don't mind, maybe I'll send it on black and white so we can compare.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. I'm having a lot of multipath interference. It's causing the signal to come in very, very weakly from the repeater. It's hard. The signal I'm receiving from the repeater is hardly breaking the squelch. So I'm getting a lot of noise on the audio, but amazingly, the pictures are coming through pretty well, despite that. And yeah, I see Pepper and Salt, Wall Street Journal. Remind me who had the last laugh, and it sounds to me that since these are elderly people, this is kind of like a sarcastic comment with reference to short-term memory loss, kind of bordering on one of the first signs of dementia coming on. So yeah, it's kind of like an ironic kind of thing. Who really laughed last? It's like, are we having fun yet? So back to Net. This is KP4MD.
That's it. It's just ironic. Thank you, Carol. Does anybody mind if I just do a BW12, which would come through really, really fast? See what it looks like. All right, I'll try it. Stand by. N6NA, did you get that?
Certainly did. It was really fast, and the white is now white instead of yellow, and or well, I guess it's gray instead of yellow, and the overall picture is a little more zoomed out, so we see a little bit of the text on the half column on the left there. Which means that the resolution overall went down, not just because it's now 320 instead of 640 wide, but also we lost a little bit more. Had it been the same size as the previous image, I think the resolution would have been a little bit better. But it's still readable, still no problem reading either the header or the Wall Street Journal or the subscript there. So still very enjoyable. And R6H, back to them.
Thanks, Anders. Joel, AI6DG.
Yeah, it's for the resolution. It makes reading things pretty rough, especially since we've seen it before. We know it's there. We can still read it. But yeah, it's always amazing just how quick and how much you can see despite the loss. So every time I keep getting surprised by slow scan about how quick and how much you can see even in bad noise conditions. It's amazing. You can barely hear the signal sometimes, yet you can still see the picture. Back to Net AS6TV.
Thanks. Carol, KB4MD.
Yeah, you can see exactly on what I received there on YouTube. Yeah, it's still readable and came over very quickly, just like everybody else said. KP4MD.
Copy. Thanks, everybody, for the experiment. I think we're about to close the net. Any last comments or thoughts?
one more comment.
Go ahead.
On the audio interface there that we had, that Joel was showing, you having one of the best radios when it comes to digital modes, obviously don't need that because it's connected right in with USB, so no need forever for a signal link or anything like that if you have an FT991A. So that is a really awesome setup. And I actually sent a picture of the audio interface that I built. I went back here and saw, and that was in my A3REH days, so it must be a year and a half ago or so, on Slow Scan. I did send a picture of that, so I built something similar to what Joel has, but also incorporated some timers and stuff in there, so that's the thing that beeps if I talk too long, which I'm just about to do, so I will be quiet now. NR6H, back to net.
Thanks for your comments, Anders. I appreciate it. Any other last comments? Okay, with that, thanks to all who participated in tonight's SSTV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed at 9:58 p.m. This is James, KN6QNJ, wishing all of you